Hi everyone, this is a demo about how to create a demand curve using the results from a marketing survey, from your marketing survey. So I'm gonna need a couple files. One of them is the data that you have extracted from Qualtrics. This is an example. After you have cleaned it up, meaning you have taken away the answers that are empty, and you have also taken away the answers from people who are not in your target market, and that's the data we get. And now in this file I have to find the questions that are about purchase intent. So here they are. This question here says, after reviewing our product concepts, how interested would you be in purchasing the product if it was retailed at $80? And then same question with $90, $100, $110, $120. So these are the 5 columns I'm gonna need. I'm gonna highlight them, put them in a different color, and then I'm gonna highlight them again and then copy them, and then take them to where I'm gonna do my calculation of demand curve. So now I'm going to use the other file that I'm going to need is the Excel demand curve demo that comes with this video. But if you don't have it, it's okay. You can do an Excel from scratch. I will show you how. I will go over all the formulas together here. So I'm going to use this tab here, and I'm just going to go to column B and paste what I just took. And don't worry about those formulas here. I'm going to erase all of them, and now I will show you how to do each one. Okay, so first what I need to do is look at those prices I have, 80, 90, etc. I'm going to put them here in J3. But if it was an empty Excel file, just make a table, and then in this row we're going to put the prices. 80, in this example, 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120. And here I'm gonna summarize how many people said they're gonna definitely buy. That's 5, probably buy 4, neutral, and then definitely probably not buy, and definitely not buy. That's the info from here. So I'm gonna use count if. As you know, each row here represents a customer, and each customer got one of the 5 prices randomly. And then that customer indicated whether or not they're gonna, like, what their purchase intent, between 1 to 5, meaning between definitely not buy to definitely buy. So here I'm gonna count how many said they're gonna definitely not buy at price 80. That's count if. I'm gonna use count if, and then open parenthesis. I'm gonna select B3 because that's where I have the answers for price 80. And then Control Shift down. I have to click on arrow down a few times because some of those cells are empty. I have to keep doing this until I get to the end of my spreadsheet. And then once I get to the end of my spreadsheet, I'm gonna click on arrow up once. That takes me to the end of my data. So that's 315. Okay, I'm gonna scroll up to finish my formula. Count if, and then comma, if that's a 1. Click on I4, which has 1, close parenthesis. So this formula works well. It's going to work for J4, but I want to copy it down and right, so I have to put some dollar signs. So I'm going to freeze the 3 in B3 in the range where it starts and where it ends. So 3 in B3, and then dollar sign before 315 in B15. And then I want to freeze the I in I4. Enter. So now this formula should work if I copy it down here and then to the right. So let's double check. If I go here, for example, it should be everyone who said they're neutral, and then price 90. This is the second price, 90, and then 3. That's what I want, 3. Okay, and then it should work for all of them. All right, so done with this step. Next step, I'm going to calculate my sample size, meaning how many people got eerie and gave a purchase intent in our clean data here. So let me just make this longer so you can see this is price 80 and then actually 80, 90, etc. So here I'm going to do counts, and then again B3, starting at B3, Control Shift arrow down a few times until I get to the end of my spreadsheet. Or I can just type B3, B15, and then one arrow up, close parenthesis, enter. So 65 people. I could check that number by making, this could be the sum of all those. That should be the same thing as what I just calculated. So I do sum of this minus the number I just calculated, should be 0. So that's 0. That's the dash counting format dash is 0. Alright, so that means that's fine. We're good. Copy all this down right to the right. And these are my sample size for each price. Notice they're not necessarily going to be exactly the same number, even though we ask Qualtrics to give the same number of, like randomly give those prices to different customers. Remember, we had to clean it. Some of them we had to drop. So those numbers are not going to necessarily be exactly the same, but they should be not very far from each other. All right, next step, I'm going to calculate the total sample size for all of them. So equals sum of all of those. And then since I'm going to copy to the right, I want to freeze the columns. So dollar before the J and dollar before the N. And then I'm going to copy that to the right. So that's all the same 314. All right, done with this step. Next step, I'm going to do the cumulative purchase intent for probably buy 4 and then for definitely buy 5. So what do I mean here? And you're going to understand in a minute. I'm going to have to start with my highest price, and you're going to understand why. So I'm going to start by saying how many people said they're going to probably buy at $120. So that's just this number here, 3. Now, here, how many people are going to probably buy at 110? Here, I'm going to do 5 plus 3. Why plus 3? Because the assumption is that if people are willing to buy, are going to probably buy at 110, they're also going to probably buy at higher prices. So I'm going to add the higher prices, not just the price in question, but the higher prices as well. So here it's going to be the sum of all of these guys. And to be fancy, I can actually, sorry, I don't need this. Just close my parenthesis. I can actually just put a sum here and copy all the way left. So, for example, here equals sum probably buy of 110 to N7, and then I'm going to freeze the N. See, this is a nice thing. If you don't like this, just put manually this plus this plus this and etc. But if I copy this, it should work everywhere. Even if I copy it here, it would work because sum N to N is just N. And then here, the sum of 5 and 3, and here the sum of 9, 5, and 3, etc. So that works. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing for definitely buy. So starts at the fine. I'm just going to do sum again. Sum of this up to let me just do equals here 2 and then equals sum. Let's do this and then freeze the N. Dollar before the N. And then copy to the right, left, and then let's check. Yes, that's correct. Correct, and then yes, correct. Okay, good. Done with this step. Next step, I'm gonna take all these cumulative payouts 4 and multiply it by 30%. So I'm gonna multiply all the cumulative probably buys by 30% and multiply the cumulative definitely buy by 80%. And the reason is because it turns out the purchase intent that we get from marketing surveys, we cannot expect those to be 100% translating into actual purchases. So this is a marketing method, 30-80. That's what we're gonna use here. It looks like that's what marketing uses usually, marketing method. So I'm gonna do equals this times 0.3. So all the cumulative probability buy, multiply them by 30%, and then all the cumulative of 5, meaning definitely buy, multiply them by 80%. So multiply by 8. That's all this here. Okay. All right. Then I'm gonna add those numbers. So the 30% of cumulative purchase of probably buy plus 80% of cumulative purchase of definitely buy, add them together. All right. And now I'm just gonna bring that total size that I did before, the 314. I'm gonna put that here. And finally, I'm gonna calculate the actual cumulative PI number that I'm gonna use for my demand curve, which is gonna be that total sum of PI over the total sample size. That's the number I'm gonna be using. And now I can copy this, copy, and then paste it here. I'm gonna do paste transpose. Transpose meaning if you have something in rows, it's gonna copy it in columns, or if it was in columns, you will copy it in rows. I'm gonna do paste special, transpose, and values. Paste special, values, and transpose. Okay, so these are that's the PI I'm gonna use for my demand curve. And then price, if you didn't have it here, I would just do transpose, copy, paste, transpose values of price. So copy those prices, copy, and then I'm gonna paste value, paste special, values, and transpose. These are my prices. So that's what I'm gonna use for my demand curve. So I can either run regression or I can do it with a curve and then get the equation. So let's do that. This way we can get visual. Select this, go to insert, see the scar plot sign here, little picture, scar. That's my scar plot. I could do some formatting. So for example, if I don't want it to start at 0, I want to start at maybe 60, I can select this and then right click, format axis, then minimum make it 60, so it starts at 60. Okay, click somewhere else, close that, so that starts at 60. And now I can change the name. This is my demand curve. And now I can add my equation. How? Click on those dots. It's gonna check all of them. Right click and then select data. No, sorry, not select data. Right click and then add trend line. And then linear. I'm gonna go arrow here. Click on this arrow and click on display equation on charts. Now close this. I have my equation. Here it is. You can move it here. You can highlight it. Select it. Make it red. Maybe bigger so I can read it. Maybe bold. I'm gonna move my title. And I can make even the curve itself in red. So select this. Right click. Format trend line. Here, if I click here, I can change the color. By clicking here, I can make it wider. Maybe change the format. I don't want it to be a dash, or maybe it's a solid line. And I could also add the axis name, like for example, oh, I have to change this to start at 0.